Hi, my name is Ashley, and today I'm going to tell you all about my January wrap up. January was a really complicated month to start a booktube channel in. I had really big plans, but unfortunately, they kind of got ruined because of sick days and missed school days because of snow. The kids were home a lot, which makes it really hard to film, so I'm hoping to get back on track in February. I wanted to read a lot more books than I did, but I ended up finishing 8 books, and I'm going to tell you all about them. The first book I read in January was Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater. Half a Soul is about a girl called Theodora who was cursed by a fairy when she was younger and lost half of her soul. This makes her unaware of people's fears and emotions, and she's not really in touch with her emotions. She can't really read social situations correctly. It almost seems like losing half of her soul made her autistic, which actually made me resonate with her a lot. I actually understood a lot of what she was dealing with and how difficult it can be. Laura ends up going to London with her cousin to help her cousin find a prospective man to marry, and she's kind of hoping to just be a wallflower and not really get into too much scandal. But then she meets the Lord Sorcerer and hijinks ensue. I really loved Half a Soul. I started it last year and didn't end up finishing it until January 1st of this year, but I'm so glad that I did. It was a fantastic book, and it was my first 5-star read of 2024. The second book that I read in January was The Lord Sorcerer by Olivia Atwater. It's a short novella in the same series as Half a Soul. It's a prequel about how the Lord Sorcerer met his best friend Albert, both of who are in the book Half a Soul. I only ended up giving it 3 stars. It's definitely not necessary to read to enjoy the series, but I was still glad that I read it. The next book that I read in the month of January was Hidden Bodies, which is the second book in the You series. I ended up giving it 3 stars. I'm not going to talk a lot about what happens in the book since it's a sequel. It definitely wasn't as interesting to me as the first book, and I was actually kind of disappointed. I haven't decided if I'm going to continue the series yet. I definitely know that I'm going to continue Half a Soul in that series, which I forget the name of it, but I don't know if I'm going to continue with the You series or not. I know that there's 2 more books, but there's a lot of books to be read, so I don't know if I'm ready to commit to reading those next 2 books. The next book I read in January was Love in Winter Wonderland by Abiola Bello. I hope I'm saying that right. It was a super cute story centered around Christmas and a little bookshop where 2 characters named Trey and Ariel meet and kind of begin working together. Obviously, since it's a romance novel, romance happens. It was really cute. I actually got the arc from NetGalley last year, and I tried to read it before Christmas, but I only got halfway through it. I ended up giving it 3 stars. I'm still not sure if romance is for me or if maybe it was just this book. I found the relationship kind of tedious and almost on like the immature side, even though I didn't really feel, I don't think it was YA. The 2 main characters were in college, but it definitely had like a YA feel to it for me. But overall, it was still a pretty cute romance. After reading Love in Winter Wonderland, I moved on to Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone by Benjamin Stevenson. It's the first book in the Ernest Cunningham series. I am actually currently reading the second one for a different vlog. I absolutely love this book. It's very much a mystery, murder mystery, about a family that's all stuck in one place and trying to figure out who done it. It was twisty and curvy, and I just loved all of the different plot twists. I really loved the narration style. It's written in a way where the main character is kind of writing this book and telling you about what happened, and I found that really interesting. I love books about writers and writing and all of that kind of stuff, so I definitely enjoyed it right off the bat. It was very close to being my favorite read of this month, but there was one book that just kind of eked past, which I'll tell you about at the end. The next book that I read in January was one of my most anticipated releases for January, and it was Mislaid Parts Half Known by Seanan McGuire. It is the most recent book in the Wayward Children series. I loved it. It was another 5 stars. January is actually like a really good month. I think I had 4 5-star reads. This was another 5 stars for me. I really loved the continuation of the story for Antsy. Antsy is one of my favorite characters in the entire series. I also enjoyed seeing some of the children from the past come up, and it really, I know that I've seen other people talk about how it just kind of felt like a filler book, but to me it didn't. I really resonated with the need to kind of find your path and stand up for yourself, and that really hit home for me, and I really enjoyed it. During the month of January, I read Jurassic Park for the Besties Book Club that Kayla puts on. I will link her down below. Jurassic Park was not something I ever thought that I would read. I've seen the movie not hundreds of times, but I do have a boy who likes dinosaurs. So I have probably seen the movie 50 times. And I wasn't sure how different the book was going to be from the movie. It is actually quite different. If you don't know the story of Jurassic Park, you know, it's an old man with a lot of money buys an island and tries to recreate dinosaurs, and obviously it goes very poorly. So reading the book, I actually enjoyed it quite a bit. I gave it 4 stars. I might actually even read the next one, which isn't a requirement for the book club, but I really enjoyed it. It was different from the movie, and there were some things, I'm not going to spoil it, but there were some things and some people who kind of got a different ending in the book, and that made me kind of happy. It felt a little bit like karma, I'm not gonna lie. The last book that I read in January was The Pallbearers Club by Paul Tremblay, and this book, it's so funny because I've been hearing Kayla from Books and Lala talk about this book for so long. It's one of her favorites. It doesn't have the best reviews on Goodreads, but I got it just because my tastes tend to align with Kayla's, and this book was by far my favorite book that I read in the month of January. If you don't know anything about the Pallbearers Club, it's about a man named Art Barbara, although that's not really his real name, which he tells you at the very beginning. And it is basically his autobiography about starting the Pallbearers Club and what happens throughout his life. I've read a lot of reviews that basically say nothing happens in this book, and I would have to agree, but it's like the best nothing happens that you'll ever read. I read it all in one day, not quite one sitting because I have kids that I have to take care of, but it was just a fantastic time. I was never bored, even though it's not like, you know, there's no action or anything, but like it was something that really grabbed me and pulled me in, and I loved it so much. I know it's classified as horror. I don't think that I would classify it as that, or even thriller. It was more of like not even like a slice of life, because it's written as like an autobiography, but it is like a portion of his life from when he's a teenager until he's an adult and even past into his adulthood. And it was just a fantastic read. If you like weird, scary, not scary books about nothing, I suggest that you read this. Other than that, if those things don't sound appealing to you, I would not suggest this book, because I don't feel like it's a book for everyone. It's just a book for, I don't know, certain random weirdos. And that is it. That's everything I read in the month of January. I've already spent a lot of time planning out my content for February, and I'm super excited to be back on track. This Friday, I'm publishing the first video in my Finding a Genre series. Basically, it's a series where I read 5 books in one specific genre, and if I get a 5 or a 4 star, then I'll read some more. And it's basically how I'm going to spend the year finding what genres really fit me as an adult reader. So I hope you'll tune in for that. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you on Friday.